Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. I've spent the entire morning filming videos and my voice is starting to fucking hurt, but let's talk about indie horror games for a moment. So as most of you know, I have been starting my variety journey to the tune of very scary numbers and, you know, buy my merch. It's October, so I'm doing 13% off with coupon code BESTHOLIDAY. Anyway, so ever since I started my journey into variety, a lot of my chat has been asking me to play horror games, which is, you know, par for the course. I don't blame them at all. You know, I started off as a Apex player, and when I eventually went variety and Apex, people were recommending me other battle royales. And when, you know, now that I'm coming off of the ASIM horror, people are recommending other horror games, which is fine. I think that it is perfectly a valid thing to suggest, and I'm not opposed to playing horror games. I just want you guys to understand that there's a very good chance that if I start playing a lot of indie horror games, that they're not going to end up on this channel, and there's also a good chance that I might not like them. Now, I want to start off with saying that making a game, any game, is a long and arduous process. And making an indie game, you know, a game that only has 1 to 10 developers or something like that, is also always going to be a more arduous process. When you don't have the backing, when you don't have a lot of big teams, when you don't have finances, it can be difficult to produce something good. And a lot of indie horror games are like one dude in his room who got told that he was a really good writer in 4th grade, and now he's trying to write something. And trying to learn how to code and get artwork and write the story and all of that by yourself is a massive, massive pain in the ass. And I understand that, and I understand the struggles of making indie horror games, but I want to make it very clear. Of all the indie genres that I have played in the past, indie horror is quite possibly the most bloated genre for the most pretentious, insufferable crap games I have ever played. Now, what you're watching for the background footage right now is me playing a game called Fears of Fathom, the first episode. I played it over on my Twitch, and the full playthrough is going to be put on my extras channel, so if you're interested in watching that, go over there and also subscribe, because I'm only 155 subscribers away from hitting the 1,000 mark, which will allow me to run ads on that channel. But anyway, I played through the Fears of Fathom first game, and I was absolutely bored out of my freaking skull. Now, I want to make it clear, everything I'm about to talk about in today's video kind of relates to Fears of Fathom, but I'm also not trying to get all over the developers of Fears of Fathom. I'm not trying to target them out. I'm just using it as background footage while I do this video. So indie horror games have this very bad habit of being what I would like to call lazily created, because a lot of indie horror, a lot of horror relies on subtlety. Horror is the genre that relies the most on subtlety, right? Action adventures are big and bombastic and grand in scale. Comedy requires you to have a lot of creativity. Visual novels require you to have a through storyline. And then you've got things like farming sims, which require you to have a lot of things for people to do in the farming. But with horror specifically, you can make a game where somebody just walks around a house and does things, and then add creepy ambiance music and subtle jump scares, and boom, you've made a horror game. Horror is one of the genres that requires the least amount of efforts to do. I'm not saying least amount of effort to get right, I'm saying the least amount of effort to do. I believe that horror games are the laziest genre in the world. And that's to say that horror is a lazy genre in terms of like, oh, it's bad to be lazy. I'm lazy all the time. I have an entire folder full of thumbnails that I just drag and drop onto every thumbnail that I make nowadays, right? That's being lazy, right? Making your life easier and being lazy is not necessarily a bad thing. And I do think that there are good games out there that were lazily done, but it is at the end of the day a lazy genre, and it is something that you don't have to put a lot of effort into doing correctly. It's so easy to find creepy music and creepy sound effects and overlay those onto a walking simulator, and boom, there's your horror game. But because of this, a lot of indie horror devs think a little bit too much of themselves and their skills to actually make things scenes scary. In terms of Fears of the Fathom, from what I can gather, the developers just find stories on like creepypasta or something, and then they just put that into the game. So there's the story, they don't have to write the story, and then the rest of it is just rendering a bunch of stuff. Now, I have been told that Fears of the Fathom episode 1 is the worst one, and that a lot of the other ones apparently are a lot better. I haven't played them yet because I don't have the money to buy them, but if I do get a hold of them, I will play them, and then I'll let you know I'll let you guys know what I think. But the point is that indie horror is just one of those genres that I feel like a lot of indie developers do because it's the easiest to do, and so a lot of them are really, really bad. And I would love to do a review of literally every single game that I get, but like, here, I'm gonna show you. Here's my review of Fears of the Fathom, a relatively boring horror game that follows the walking sim logic of making sure that you have to do everything in a very specific order, even if you don't quite understand why you would do it. There was a part in Fears of the Fathom where while you're sitting on the couch eating the lasagna, I can clearly see a pair of feet walk up the stairs. So I decided that I was going to put the lasagna down and go upstairs to check on it, but there was never anybody up there. And the bad part about it is that the dude walking up the stairs, or the pair of feet walking up the stairs, has literally nothing to do with the rest of the story. It's just creepy imagery for the sake of creepy imagery, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't add anything to the experience. You have to go back downstairs, and then you have to finish off the lasagna, and then you go back upstairs to quote unquote do your homework, but then you got to go back downstairs to turn off the TV. And that's one of the reasons I don't like walking sims. And so Fears of the Fathom was just a relatively boring game. It was great for content. I was able to get a lot of jokes out of it. I mean, in the like 25-ish minute video of the playthrough that I did, the very first time that I played through, because I did end up dying because I screwed it up, because I didn't do everything in the exact way that the developers wanted me to do it, I was able to make a lot of jokes. It's a great content game, but as far as a game to play and actually enjoy, I didn't enjoy it. I found it incredibly boring and incredibly annoying. There you go. That's my review of Fears of the Fathom. Took me about 2 minutes to do. That's why I don't review indie horror games. Now, if I wanted to do a video where I like batch reviewed a bunch of indie horror games, maybe that might be something, but I wouldn't expect indie horror to grace this channel as much as most people would like, because indie horror games have so little substance to them that the only thing you can really do in a review is say whether or not it scared you. And I did get jump scared in Fears of the Fathom, I guess, but to be honest with you, jump scares are the cheapest and easiest type of scares to do, and Don't Scream still managed to that up. But let me tell you about another indie horror game that I played one time. I don't remember the name of it, but basically it was another walking simulator, and the story was that the character you're playing's sister had offed herself, and the sister's ghost was haunting you and looked like it was trying to kill you. And by the end of it, the idea that you were supposed to get was that the sister's ghost was a metaphor for depression and anxiety trying to take the life of the person who you are playing. Which is a great metaphor, but it's presented in such a pretentious and obnoxious way, and it's all done for the sake of shock humor. There's a lot of gore and dead bodies and stuff that pop up throughout the game, and it's very, very, very badly written, and there's a lot of plot points that go absolutely freaking nowhere. It took me about an hour and a half to get through the game, and in that hour and a half, I just hated every moment of it because it was so dull and pretentious, and that's part of the bigger problem. Indie horror is an easy genre to make. So a lot of indie devs make indie horror, but a lot of indie horror devs don't understand what makes horror good. They only understand what makes horror. And so that's why you're not going to find me talking about indie horror that much on this channel. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out the extras channel. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, a big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Need more Kaiser in your life? Well, I've got you covered. Check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload full gameplays, stream compilations, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also upload a daily short with all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.